So now in chapter 22 we are introduced to augmented sixth chords. So I thought I would provide an example of an augmented sixth chord so that we can hear exactly what happens and then describe the structure of these chords and where they occur. So here's an example: Beethoven Bagatelle Opus 119 number 1, first 16 measures, which turns out to be basically a parallel double period, also showing sentence structure, as you will hear, the 2+2. So as you can see, this piece starts out in G minor, and it has little two measure phrases here. So the first is a little half cadence here, and then there's a definite half cadence here. And this is the chord that we're talking about here. And I think you probably heard it. It sort of sticks out a little bit. And this is an augmented sixth chord. And the reason this is called an augmented sixth chord is because the interval between the E flat and the C sharp here is in fact an augmented sixth. And so E flat is scale degree 6 in G minor, and C sharp is scale degree raised 4. And you can see that when this occurs, it approaches the dominant. So this is much like other dominant approach chords like secondary dominants and Neapolitan chords. They approach the dominant. So what is the structure here? This one has scale degree lowered 6, scale degree raised 4, and scale degree 1. So we can see in this little segment how the line descends from tonic in the actually melodic descending minor, so do, te, la, sol. And so that can be harmonized with this augmented sixth chord, and it is similar really in a way. It might even be compared to the Phrygian half cadence, and it's often said that more precisely they are derived from Phrygian half cadences. So let's listen to this example again. Listen for that augmented sixth. Right there. Right there. So this next example is in A minor, and this is a Phrygian half cadence. So this is just your regular old Phrygian half cadence, 1 little 4 6 2 5. Okay, that's our Phrygian half cadence to start with. So in this next example, I'm just going to show you that what I'm going to do is I take scale degree 4 here, which is D. If I raise it, it becomes scale degree sharp 4 or raised 4. And right here at this point, I already have the Italian augmented sixth, because I have scale degree lowered 6, which goes to 5. I have tonic, and I have the scale degree raised 4. So you can hear that raised 4 coming in. So in this next example, I've eliminated the D natural and just made it the D sharp, and now we have the Italian augmented sixth. So right here you would harmonize this as the Italian augmented sixth. So there are really 3 types of augmented sixth chords that primarily occur, or maybe customarily occur. And the second one is called the French augmented sixth. And the difference between the French and the Italian is that you might notice that scale degree 2 has been added to what would otherwise be the Italian augmented sixth. So now it has scale degree lowered 6, scale degree sharp 4, tonic, scale degree 1, and scale degree 2. And so now this is the French augmented sixth. The next type of augmented sixth chord is known as the German augmented sixth chord. And the difference here is, rather than adding scale degree 2 to the Italian to create the French, we add scale degree 3 from the minor mode, by the way. It has to be, so we will call it the lowered scale degree 3 or the natural minor scale degree 3. So here is the German augmented sixth, and there's an inherent problem with the German augmented sixth, which is here. I show you the parallel fifths, okay? And in some places they say these are the only time that parallel fifths are okay, but then they show us some other things that, as I will show you, that usually they're not going to do this kind of thing. They'll do something else. So let's listen to the German augmented sixth. So a lot of times when you have a German augmented sixth, and let's go through it again, we're in the key of A minor, and this is scale degree lowered 6, F. This is scale degree 3 in minor, or if we were in A major, it would be the lowered scale degree 3, and we'd have to put a natural there, C. This is the raised scale degree 4, Phi, and this is tonic. So here we have a German augmented sixth, and a lot of times before they go to the 5 chord, they'll precede the 5 chord with a 1-6-4 in order to disguise or hide basically the parallel fifths. So let's listen to this example. One other thing worth mentioning is that sometimes these augmented sixth chords, whether they be Italian, French, or German, may move to the 5-7 chord rather than the 5 chord. And in this case, it is customary in the voice leading that the raised degree scale 4 on the augmented sixth chord will just move back down to scale degree 4 to make the 5-7 chord. And this is perfectly okay. No problem here with this, what appears to be a sort of a parallel motion. It's quite acceptable. And so it may look a little strange, but that's what you're going to do with the raised scale degree 4 if your Italian or French or German augmented sixth approaches a 5-7. In this instance, I just used an Italian augmented sixth. So let's listen to this example. I went ahead and resolved the 5-7 chord to the 1 chord. So in summary, the Italian augmented sixth contains raised scale degree 4, the natural minor scale degree 6, and scale degree 1. You may hear raised scale degree 4 referred to as sharp 4, and you may hear the natural minor 6 referred to as flat 6. But just remember, in minor, you don't have to change anything. You just take scale degree 6. In major, you do have to lower scale degree 6. French is the same thing as an Italian, except it also contains scale degree 2. So it has scale degree 2, it has the raised scale degree 4, it has the natural minor 6, and scale degree 1. In the German, you will have the same thing as the Italian, except you'll also have a lowered scale degree 3. So you might see this written as flat 3, but what it is, it's the 3 that is from the natural minor mode. So again, if you're in minor and you want a German augmented sixth, you're not going to change scale degree 3, you're not going to lower it. So, lowered scale degree 3, raised scale degree 4, lowered scale degree 6, and scale degree 1. So you just have to remember that typically this is how these chords are going to be spelled, and usually the lowered sixth is the thing that's in the bass. And again, remember that it was derived from the Phrygian half cadence, so the bass is going to go down a half step to 5, and so that's the basic movement. And it doesn't always have to be in this position, but typically it is. So we will see in the next video some other things that can happen with these augmented sixth chords, and we'll look at figured bass. But basically, to summarize, here's what's going to happen, and I have a progression here. I show you that this is a German augmented sixth chord. So this is in the key of B flat. G flat is scale degree flat 6, so I have to put a flat there, and so that is flat 6, and it's going to go down. So flat 6 goes down to scale degree 5. Okay, the E natural is what the so-called scale degree sharp 4. So again, be careful. Sharp 4 doesn't always mean sharp, but this is the raised scale degree 4. And those tend to go up. So if you think about it, what's happening is this flat 6 is going down, this one's going up, they expand to an octave. So augmented sixth intervals tend to have tendencies to expand to the octave. Of course, the exception is if we made this a 5/7 chord, then sharp 4 goes down to regular scale degree 4. And even scale degree 1 has a tendency here. It will tend to go to the leading tone. So scale degree 1 or tonic is going to move to the leading tone. So there's a lot of tendencies here. Now this is important. This is the scale degree flat 3. And I'm showing you that in a B flat major, I have to put a flat on this scale degree 3, which turns out to be what might be called the fifth of the chord, since if we're looking at G flat as the root. Although really that's not really true, because these are actually rootless chords. So, but they do have a lot of tendencies, and there's their tendencies. So this one, actually in major, we will see that sometimes this flat 3 that we have here will be spelled as sharp 2, and it would make sense, because then I would just have a C sharp going up to this D, and it would kind of be a little less cumbersome, although you will see it both ways. So here's an example. This is a 2/6 approaching the German, and then we resolve it again to avoid the parallel fifths between the G flat and the D flat. We do a 1/6/4 first, and that often happens with German augmented sixths. Okay, so we'll talk more about figured bass with German augmented sixth chords, and what happens when scale degree flat 6 isn't in the bass, and some other tidbits. Thanks.